Islam family.
Islam, God.
Islam minister.
Islam doctor.
How you be?
I'm better.
Praise Allah.
All is well. I don't know where that came from.
There's all kind of stuff flying around.
For real, I'm telling you. Think you don't want to go outside.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm retired. I ain't got to go outside.
I heard that. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
It's getting a little boring.
Yeah, look into their food delivery.
Yeah, I'm already signed up. They've been sending me texts and texts, but I don't know. I was telling Minister earlier. It's there's a there, I don't know fear. There's a little fear in there for some reason. Maybe starting another routine, you know?
Yeah, no, it is. It's just it's something you're gonna have to get used to.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
I'm gonna take that first step tomorrow.
Yeah. Or you can deliver packages like Amazon.
Yeah, I saw that on a website, you know.
Yeah.
They got part-time jobs there.
Yeah. Yeah. You got the prayer when we start?
Yeah.
All right.
All family, everything is all set up, so
Islam, John.
ready to go.
4 p.m.
Islam, you can go ahead, Mr. Anwar.
Islam. Once again, I rise, giving praise to the great God, Allah, honors to his prophets, honor to the last prophet these days and time, Prophet Noble Jew Ali. Give honor to the Royal Council of the Moorish American government, all its officials, all the citizens. Give honor where honor is due. Give honor to all of you. Give honor to this Maryland Zoom meeting and everyone in attendance. Islam. Moorish American prayer. Allah the Father of the universe. Allah the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen.
Islam, Islam, Islam. Rising to praise Allah and giving honor to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Salvation, our God, unity, the divine constitution of Moorish America. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the chairman of Moorish America are empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Moorish America. The assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and is known before the citizens of Moorish America. The bylaws, Act 2. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on a Friday, the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality, and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America, and then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, peace and blessings be upon him, founding father and framer of the divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America. Islam.
Islam family, good afternoon. This is Layla Shibay of the Maryland Consulate. I'll be reading the chapter of the week, but before I do, let me rise and give perfect praise and thanksgiving to our Father, God Allah, the great God of the universe. Highest of honors to our Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Honors to our Moorish American theocratic government and indigenous nation. Honors to its officials, honors to its citizens, and special honors goes out to its children. Honors to my Moorish kin everywhere and all things Moorish. And honors to those facilitating this public meeting this afternoon. Honors to those who are watching via social media. The chapter of the week is chapter 13, and it is entitled, Yehoshua attends a feast in Bihar, and here he taught human equality. The fame of Yehoshua as a teacher spread through all the land, and people came from near and far to hear his words of truth. At Bihar, on the sacred river of the Brahms, he taught for many days. And Ak, a wealthy man of Bihar, made a feast in honor of his guests, and he invited everyone to come. And many came, among them thieves, extortioners, and courtesans. And Yehoshua sat with them and taught. But he who followed him were much aggrieved, because he sat with thieves and courtesans. And they upbraided him. They said, Rabboni, master of the wise, this day will be an evil day for you. The news will spread that you consort with courtesans, and men will shun you as they shun an asp. And Yehoshua answered them and said, a master never screens himself for the sake of reputation or fame. These are but worthless baubles of the day. They arise and sink like empty bottles on a stream. They are illusions and will pass away. They are the indices to what the thoughtless think. They are noise that people make, and shallow men judge merit by the noise. Allah and all master men judge men by what they are and not what they seem to be, not by their reputation and their fame. These courtesans are thieves, are children of my, these courtesans and thieves are children of my Father Allah. Their souls are just as precious in his sight as yours. or of the Brahmic priests, and they are working out the same life sums that you have solved, you men who look at them with scorn. And some of them have solved much harder than you have solved, you men who look at them with scorn. Yes, they are sinners and confess their guilt, while you are guilty, but are shrewd enough to have a polished coat to cover up your guilt. Suppose you men who score the courtesans, these drunkards, and these thieves, who know that you are pure in heart and life, that you are better than they, stand forth that man may know just who you are. The sin lies in the wish, in the desire, not in the act. You covet other people's wealth. You look at charming forms, and deep within your heart, you lust for them. Deceit you practice every day and wish for gold, for honor, and for fame, just for your selfish selves. The man who covets is a thief, and she who lusts is a courtesan. You who are none of these, speak out. Nobody spoke. The accusers held their peace. And Yehoshua said, the proof this day is against all who have accused. The pure in heart do not accuse. The vile in heart who want to cover up their guilt with holy smoke of piety are ever loathing drunkards, thieves, and courtesans. This loathing and this scorn are mockery. For if the tinsel coat of reputation could be torn away, the loud professor would be found to revel in his lust, deceit, and many forms of secret sin. The man who spends his time in pulling other people's weeds can have no time in pulling his own, and all the choicest flowers of life will be choked and die, and nothing will remain but darnels, thistles, and burrs. And Yehoshua spoke a parable. He said, behold, a farmer had a great field of ripened grain, and when he looked, he saw that blades of many stalks of wheat were bent and broken down. And when he sent his reapers forth, he said, we will not save the stalks of wheat that have the broken blades. Go forth and cut and burn the stalks with broken blades. And after many days, he went to measure up his grain, and not a kernel could he find. And then he called the harvesters, and he said to them, where is my grain? They answered him and said, we did according to your word. We gathered up and burned the stalks with broken blades, and not a stalk was left to carry to the barn. And Yehoshua said, if Allah saves only those who have unbroken blades, who have been perfected in his sight, who will be saved? And the accusers hung their heads in shame, and Yehoshua went his way. Islam, thank you for allowing me to read.
Islam, Islam, Islam. First, I want to rise and praise Almighty God Allah. I want to give honor to our holy prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I want to give honor to the theocratic government and indigenous nation of Moorish America. I want to give honor to our divine constitution of Moorish America. I want to give honor to all officials in Moorish America. I want to give honor to all citizens in Moorish America, and want to give a special honor to our children, our babies in Moorish America. I want to give special honor to all of our Moors who opened our meeting according to law. I want to give honors where honors are due. I want to give honors to each and every one of you who have joined us for this Maryland Consulate Sunday Zoom meeting. And it is February 6, 2022. Just want to give honors where honors are due. Also want to give honors to all of our family who are watching on social media. At this time, I want to say that all the Moors on the panel and anybody watching on social media, if you could share this meeting on your pages so that we can get this message out to our people. Um, Once again, want to give honors where honors are due. Want to give honors to each and every one of you for joining us today for our class. Our class title for today is If You Love Me, Feed My Sheep. Once again, title for today's class, If You Love Me, Feed My Sheep. I am the host, Sheikh El-Bey, Vice Consul General, the Maryland Consulate, Moorish American Government. The objective for today's class is to comprehend that leaders and citizens must serve in the theocratic government and indigenous nation of Moorish America. We have several words to define: advocate, citizen, leader, and duty. Will be coming from several resources. First being our Holy Quran of Moorish America, Circle 7, Chronological Order, Chapter 52, Holy Instructions from the Prophet, the Social Duties on page 49 and 50. Will also be coming from our Moorish literature, The Voice of the Prophet, Friday, September 18th, 1928, on page 22. We'll also be viewing a YouTube video that we do not own the rights to, but we are using it for educational purposes. And the title is, What Are the Qualities of a Good Leader? Vinita Bali with Sad Guru. Our discussion question when we open the floor up will be, can we truthfully say that we have fed his sheep? Once again, the discussion question will be, can we truthfully say that we have fed his sheep? And before we get into our lesson more, I want to call on our Counsel General, Dr. Malik El-Bey, to see whether he has any words of wisdom for us. Islam, you there, Counsel General?
Islam, 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 Islam. First and foremost, I rise and give praise to Almighty God Allah and giving honor to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El-Haj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. I want to give honor to our theocratic government of Moorish America, all divine ministers, swift angels, a special honor to our citizens, a special honor to our children, a special honor to all of our people all over the planet Earth for being indigenous to this land, to this planet Earth. I want to give honor where honor is due, and I want to give honor to the subject matter. The title of the class, it's a powerful subject, and and I want to just, those who have ears to hear and eyes to see, I want you to actually pay close attention to what we share today, because this subject matter is, there's many are called, but few are chosen. And it's not that Allah favor one over another. It's all about commitment. It's all about you fulfilling the vow of secrecy that you took. Because at this level, being a divine minister, it's none of our responsibility to really look over you and manage you, microwave manage you with a micro, what you call it, magnifying glass or whatever. But when you take that vow of secrecy and you say you made a promise to Allah and your people in the universe that thus saith the Lord, and you said that you was going to do that, that falls on you. Like the Grand Ass Chairman used to always say, if anything go down in the government and you have to turn your minister papers in, that's one thing, but your ministry still goes on, because that's secret and sacred. Not secret so much, it's sacred between you and Allah. And this is something that you can never run from once you get at this level, even if you have become a student minister. Because some of us still trying to figure out what the ministry is all about and what I am supposed to be doing as a minister. So that vow is between you and Allah. But there's a whole bunch of experiences that you will go through that you have to learn how to discern. Is it my lower self trying to trick me out of the vow that I took? Or is it just some type of human form of understanding or finite point of view that I'm looking at? And what I'm looking at, is it really is what I think I see? Because the call is bigger than what it appears to be, what you see. There is no going back. I've known some brothers who lost their mind playing with this thing. And it's nothing to play with. So I'm looking forward to this class unfolding and what is going to be revealed and shared in this meeting. And all I can say is gratitude. And I thank you for and giving honor to perseverance and endurance. Gratitude. Islam.
Islam, gratitude for those words of wisdom, Jim. Always gratitude and honors to you for all that you do. So more as we once again we're gonna jump right in. Our title for today: If you love me, feed my sheep. The objective to comprehend that leaders and citizens, both in Moorish America, must serve. And we're gonna jump into our vocabulary words, and our first word, and any more who has the definition come forth. But our first word is advocate, and I see the goddess El-Bey's hand up.
Islam.
Islam.
Honors already extended. An advocate is a noun, and it is described as a person who publicly supports or recommends a cause or policy, or a person who argues a case on behalf of someone else. And synonyms for the word advocate are champion, upholder, supporter, backer, promoter, proponent, campaigner, etc. Islam. Thank you.
Islam. Gratitude, goddess. We got before you, Minister Anwar, we got the Grand Secretary of State, and then the goddess Muhammad Bey. Then you, Mo.
Islam, Mr. Sharon Khadija Bey, rise, giving praise to God Allah. Honors to his prophet, honors for honors due. Honors to divine guidance, honors to Act 1, honors to all the Moors online, and most important, honors to all citizens and our children. And for advocate, I had one who advocates for another, a group, or a cause. And it was almost familiar with what Minister El-Bey had said, but she had read it most eloquently. Islam.
Islam, and gratitude for that grand measure also, goddess. We got goddess Muhammad Bey.
Islam, a minister, Muhammad Bey. I rise, giving praise to Allah and high honors to his prophet, our prophet, Noble Drew Ali. For advocate, I have pretty much the same as both of the ministers that came before me. And I just wanted to say that an advocate is someone who is the voice for others. And since we always speak on the importance of our children, it's important that we advocate for our children.
Islam, and gratitude, goddess, for that measure. And definitely, we got to be advocates for our children. Definitely. Islam, and gratitude for that. Minister Anwar.
Islam, having already risen, I have advocate, one who pleads the cause of another, one who pleads the case of another before a tribunal or judicial court. Islam.
Gratitude, Mo. You plumbing that line, Mo. All the definitions were eloquent, right on point. You know, I just want to add that the part that stuck out to me is some of the words in the definitions. Publicly support, recommends, pleads on someone else's behalf, a pleader in a court of law. You know, so I chose this word, and when we think of the title and the objective for today's class, I chose this word, advocate, because it's very powerful. What it talks about. See, an advocate is somebody who is serving. You know, they're not really thinking about themselves. They're thinking about the whole. They understand that they are part of the whole. So that's how they're thinking, you know, about the group, you know, whether it's a family, whether it's a tribe, a community, a nation, you know, an advocate is working for the group. And it says publicly, you know, so see, an advocate is not a cheerleader, you know, somebody that's just on the sideline, you know, saying, yeah, rah, good job. No, an advocate is right in there, right in there. You know, talks about an advocate being a pleader in a court of law. See, an advocate, somebody who is is publicly supporting their nation. And see, I'm taking it right to us as citizens of Moorish America. You know, we may have to go to a court of law or international court of justice and make a plea for our people. You know, we may have to go before the General Assembly of, let's say, the United Nations, or the General Assembly of the Organization of American States as an advocate for our people and our nation. You know, so as the general talked about, at this level, we have to be advocates. And see, all of us, our foundation of all of our foundations in Moorish America, we are citizens. You know, so just grind measure on those words, and we're going to move on to our second word, citizen. Citizen. Any more with a definition for citizen? Islam, we got the goddess Shebe.
Islam, praise and honors, previously extended. Citizen is a noun, but when I think about citizenship as it relates to the Moorish American government, not only am I required to proclaim my nationality, but as a citizen, I would also be recognized according to that nation's law as one of its own, one of its people. So yeah, it'd have to be it's mutual recognition. Islam.
Islam. Gratitude, goddess, for that beautiful measure for citizen. We also have Minister Ali L's hand up.
Islam, having already risen, like the God was saying, citizen is a noun, one who enjoys the freedom and privileges of a city as distinguished from a foreigner. Islam.
Islam. Gratitude for that measure, Minister. You know, just you know, I have a similar definition. A legally recognized subject or national of a state or commonwealth, either native or naturalized. You know, so all grand definitions. And being citizens of Moorish America is we got to look at this totally different. than citizenship anywhere else. See, because we don't in Moorish America, we don't have a long established state that's up and running and has been up and running for years and years and years. So the state of Moorish America that we want to manifest, we have to be manifestors of it. That's why it's so important to understand the duties of a citizen in Moorish America. See, as citizens of Moorish America, let's leave out leader right now. Let's leave out divine minister right now. Let's look at citizen. We have to be citizen advocates for our people and for our nation. See, because we are the people who are starting the nation, developing the nation. So we have to be advocates for us, for ourselves. You know, we if think about a family, and no, let's think about this. You own a house. Now, if you own a house, then you have certain responsibilities in that house. You have to make sure the upkeep is kept up. You have to do certain things in that house. You don't buy that house and just sit there and think that everything is going to be taken care of. No, you got to get up and make sure that the grass is cut if you do have a lawn. And if you don't cut the grass, you got to make sure that somebody does cut it. You got to make sure that you wash the dishes, mop the floors, clean the bathrooms, straighten up, all these different things. See, this stuff doesn't happen by itself, and it definitely doesn't happen by osmosis. Somebody has to put the work in. So when we're dealing with these two words, citizens of Moorish America, see, that denotes action. No longer can we think like citizens of the U.S. where you just go to work and come home. No, we can't think that way. We have to think that it is our responsibility to actually raise this nation. And who are we doing it for? We're doing it for that child that is standing by the mother's side. We also doing it for the child in that mother's arms. And we also doing it for the child in that mother's womb. So like the general said, this is bigger than us. This is bigger than us, and our duties and responsibilities just as citizen, because that's our greatest title right there, citizen of Moorish America. See, because everything else hinges off of that, being a citizen. So grand measures for citizen, and we're going to move on to our next word, leader. Islam, leader. Islam, we got God as Shebe.
Islam. I'm not sure if this is what you're looking for, but I was thinking of, when I thought of leader, I thought of vanguard as being those who are coming out front. And leader is a noun. And a leader is described as a person or thing or group that takes the lead. And they would be classified as the most successful or the advanced persons in a particular endeavor or thing or area. Islam.
Islam, God. So you right on point with that one. Gratitude. We got Minister Sharon, and then you, Minister Alia.
Islam. Minister Sharon Khadija Bey already risen. When I think of leader, I think of one who leads a group or one who leads for a cause. And like the prophet said, to be a good leader, you have to be a good follower. Islam.
Grand measure. Gratitude for that, Goddess. Minister Alia.
Islam haven't already risen. Leader, several definitions of leader is that leadership is the act of motivating a group of people to act towards achieving a common goal. Islam.
Islam. Beautiful, beautiful. When we look at our people, our nation, our people in the United States of America, we literally are no better off than we were coming out of chattel slavery in 1865. We got a couple of more things, a couple of more dollars, but literally as a state, the state of our people in the United States of America is really no better than 1865. You know, so when we think about leadership, you know, and the other thing is anybody who would volunteer to be a leader of our people, you know, if they knew all the work that had to be done, they would go somewhere and hide. We have to build from the foundation up. The prophet did give us everything, but now we got to take that and build this nation. This is a lot of work, you know. So leaders are recognized by who? By the citizens, and the citizens say, you know, you got good ideas. Can you step up here? Can you do this? See the citizens, because they are civically involved, they know how to look for somebody that they will follow. Not somebody that they will personality worship anything like that, but somebody that they see that is able to take the group from one place to the next. You know, so if you got leadership that is picking their homeboys or these kind of things, no. These we have so much work to do and so labor intensive that it has to be the people, as the God has said, the vanguards who rise up and understand that not only can their condition be better, but everybody's condition can be better. And see, that is what a leader is. See, a leader is like the goddess Khadijah Bey said, you know, a leader. Give you a definition again, Minister Sharon. Minister Sharon. Can you hear me, Iron Wall? Islam. Minister Sharon gave in her definition. She made a good point, and it slips my mind about what a leader is. You know, but we'll as the class goes on, we'll get back to that. So just want to say gratitude for those definitions of leader. And we're going to move on to our last word, duty. Any more with the definition for the word duty?
Islam, could you hear me?
Islam, I can hear you now. What was
your
your
definition for leader again? My phone,
Yeah,
every time I touch it, it blanks out. The screen blanks out.
Yeah, that definition for leader.
I was saying that a leader is one that leads, and like the prophet said, to be a good leader, you have to be a good follower.
That's it right there.
Is that the one?
That's it. That is it. See, the leader has to be a well-informed citizen, you know, because in a theocratic government, the well-informed citizen as and in conjunction with the leaders are walking up King's Highway together, you know. See, because it is a relationship, like the prophet said, receiving and conferring reciprocal helps and mutual obligations. There are obligations to these stations of citizen and leader. So gratitude for that, repeating that definition, Minister. And we're going to move on to that final word, duty. Any more with the definition for duty? Islam, we got Goddess Muhammad Bey.
Islam, proper praise and honors reiterated. For duty, I have legal or moral obligation. Islam.
Gratitude for that grand measure, Goddess. We got Minister Ali L and then Minister Musa.
Islam, having already risen, duty. Something that you have to do because it is part of your job, or something that you feel is the right thing to do. Islam.
Islam. Gratitude, Mo. Grand definition. Minister Musa.
Islam. Islamism. Dr. Saraya Rehum Musa, pray to El-Bey, rise and give praise to the Almighty God Allah, His holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the forerunner of Marcus Mosiah Garvey, our theocratic government, all my Moorish kin, everything that is Moorish, all the youth and yet born, peace, love, and gratitude. For duty. Let's see. SubhanAllah, for duty. I have a task or action that someone is required to perform. A task or action that someone is required to perform. Islam.
Islam. Gratitude for that grand measure, Mo. We got the God, we got Goddess Shebe, and then I'll get you Council General.
Islam, praise and gratitude reiterated. Some synonyms for duty, which is a noun. So synonyms are responsibility, obligation, commitment, allegiance, loyalty, task, assignment, mission, and function. Islam, gratitude.
Islam and gratitude, you know, for those words, Goddess. That was helpful in our understanding of what duty is. Gratitude. Council General.
Yeah, Islam. I just wanted to mention what makes a good leader, and you can also associate these with duties. Managers are fairly common. Real leaders are extremely rare. Managers use people to make things happen. Leaders make things happen for the people. Managers often lead from the back. They watch to see what is popular, what seems politically correct, what will help them increase their own status, and especially what will help them increase their income. Managers tend to be utilitarians and opportunity. True leaders, however, always lead from the front. They are associated with the 4 C's: character, competence, compassion, and courage. When we find a true leader, we will find strong performance in all these areas. There are so many definitions for the word leadership in the English language alone, such a diversity of meanings for the same word indicates that people are confused about what it means. It is a complex topic. The work of a true leader can also be listed in descending order of significance: to be, to do, to see, to tell. Similarly, we can characterize citizens in a general way: inventors, those who make things happen; resenters, those who watch things happen and often complain about how they are happening; consenters, those who do not know what is happening, but who consent and go with the flow. True leaders are always inventors. They are experts at making things happen. There are so many analogies to help us understand the qualities of a leader. Here's another one relating to the attitude people have when they approach a hill. There are those who will see the hill as an obstacle and immediately give up their plans. There are those who see the hill and decide to camp at its base. There are those who see the hill and proceed to climb it. Those who quit are the type of people who become discouraged by adversity. They do not possess the perseverance, the stamina, or the deep commitment to attain the goal. Those who camp at the hill's base may start off with enthusiasm, and we know so many of them, but they become distracted by the obstacles and lose sight of the goal. Those who climb the hill despite the promise of difficulty have enough commitment to work for success. Their challenge is to maintain their vision and sense of mission, and by continuing to strive, they can achieve their goal. Islam. So I just wanted to put that out in the ethers to assist us as we define these beautiful words of a study.
And gratitude, General, for that unfoldment there of leader and also duty in that. See, because as Moorish American citizens and us who have been called to leadership, we have a duty, an obligation, a moral duty and an obligation. This one of the definitions that I have is done from a sense of moral obligation rather than for pleasure. See, we're not doing this for pleasure. We're not doing this for entertainment. We doing this for the salvation of our people and the ones that's not yet born. So when we look at the word leader, the duty that comes with that, the very word leader has the root word lead in it. You can't lead nothing from the back. But in this day and time, most leadership is always behind somewhere, putting everybody else out front. No, if the people have to go to battle, the leader should be right there in front of them. And he should have instilled in he or she should have instilled in his people enough wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that if he falls on the battlefield, somebody from the citizenry can pick that flag up and keep going. You know, somebody posted something and I screenshot it and reposted it last week. Says true leaders don't create followers, they create more leaders. You know, so leadership by the very nature of the word should be out front, you know, should be the vanguards, knocking on the door, petitioning whoever needs to be petitioned, calling out whoever needs to be called out, you know, for the people. You know, so I want to give honors to all the Moors who assisted with the vocabulary words, you know, and as we go on, let's remember the definitions that we gave for advocate, citizen, leader, and duty. And we're going to jump into our first resource coming from our Holy Quran of Moorish America, Circle 7. Chapter 52. Chapter 52. Holy instructions from the prophet, the social duties. Now, as I read this, Moors, let's think about the title of today's class. Let's think about the objective. Let's think about those words of study that we just defined as I read this chapter, and think about the relationship between the citizen and the leader. Think about the duties, the shared duties that the citizen and the leader actually have. So chapter 52, holy instructions from the prophet, the social duties. When thou considereth thy wants, when thou beholdeth thy imperfections, acknowledge his goodness, O son of humanity, who honored thee with humanity, endowed thee with speech and placed thee in society to receive and confer reciprocal helps and mutual obligations, protection from injuries, thy enjoyments of the comforts and the pleasures of life, all these thou owest to the assistance of others, and couldst not enjoy but in the bands of society. That is a heavy ayat right there. It is thy duty, therefore, to be a friend to mankind, as it is thy interest that man should be friendly to thee. See now, Prophet made it plain right there in ayat 2. He said it is your duty to be a friend to mankind. And then he went on to say that, guess what? If man wants to be friendly to you, then that's okay too. But he didn't put that part first. See, a lot of times we think, well, they don't mess with us, so I ain't gonna mess with them. But the prophet made it plain, it is thy duty, therefore, to be a friend to mankind, as it is thy interest, not your duty, but an interest. I really hope that man would be friendly to thee, to me. As the rose breatheth sweetness from its own nature, so the heart of a benevolent man produceth good works. He enjoyeth the ease and tranquility of his own breast, and rejoiceth in the happiness and prosperity of his neighbor. He openeth not his ear unto slander. The faults and the failings of men give a pain to his heart. His desire is to do good, and he researcheth out the occasions thereof. In removing the oppression of another, he relieveth himself. There go that mutual obligation and reciprocal helps. From the largeness of his mind, he comprehendeth, and his wishes the happiness of all men, and from the generosity of his heart, he endeavoreth to promote it. So when we look at this chapter, social duties, and we think about uh, our roles as citizens of Moorish America, as leaders in Moorish America, you know, the prophet is telling us that it is our social duty to be friendly to mankind. You know, it's our social duty to want to help each other, you know, because all of us are demonstrating from the bands of society. It is our duty to want to see that our brother has just as much as we do. Not the opposite, that you know what, he got this and I'm jealous and I wanna take this from him, or how did he get this, or how did she get this and I don't have it. See, if all of us was thinking from the standpoint of the demonstration of social duties, imagine what kind of nation we would have already. You know, because our furthermost thought would be the security of our brothers and sisters. And if all of us are thinking about the security of our brothers and sisters, then all of us going to be taken care of. Because somebody out of the 80 million is going to be thinking about one of us. You know, so that chapter, social duties, is so heavy. That chapter is a chapter that every citizen and every leader should read over and over again. Over and over again. Come on, General.
Yeah, Islam already risen and given praise and honor. I want to read a preamble for social duty. In the chapter of social duty, the last prophet in these days, Noble Drew Ali, gives the holy instructions to his Moorish American nationals, teaching us how to become better citizens within the only government in which we live. The Moorish American government is the only government wherein all Moorish citizens can truly live. Here, we are taught how we are to expect, accept, and depend upon certain social requirements and responsibilities duty bound in all national citizenry. These forthcoming infinite instructions are requisite for us as we now link ourselves with the family of nations. The term social duty draws its power from the ordained securities found only in the sovereign freedom, self-determination, and autonomy of a government through the love deriving from its social society. During the last 500 plus years, 1492 to 2013, the Moorish Americans give the slave labels of NBC have been made, enslaved, and trained to obey the laws and pray to gods outside of themselves and were not their own. Although constitutional slavery in the USA has been abolished since 1865, the minds of the Moorish people are still entombed in the coffins of post-traumatic slave syndrome. They have not been awakened and educated within the jurisdiction of their own national constitution. Without these independent necessities, the freshly freed Moorish people were without social skills and responsibility. The descendants of the ancient Moabites have been suffering the traditional insecurities of being exiled from the human family of nations. One must be ever conscious of priceless freedom from priceless freedom, which we find only in the bands of society. Now living within their own free national status, the Moors can be taught to accept the responsibilities and enjoy living the entrusted duties required of all free nations of earth, on earth, in the right order of learning, knowing, and being in native North America. All our citizens must keep their hearts and mind pure with love. Then, through their own society of faithfuls will every subject inherit the reward and benefit standing dormant in the divinity of their social duty. This chapter will instruct what is meant by Allah in my protector, my guidance, and my salvation. And his care will be continued to all Moorish Americans only in our love to each other. Islam.
Islam, General. That was a grand measure there. Just flushing out that chapter of social duties. Gratitude for that. I want to give a real world example of social duties. It's 9 of us on the panel. Let's just say for this demonstration, all the goddesses on here, goddess Shebe, goddess Sharon, goddess Alima, goddess Nicole, all of them have children, young children. And we in a community and we grow our own food and let's say we grow corn and we produce 9 ears of corn. All right. Now, some people would say, okay, the king or the council general, he should get more because he's the leader. All right. But what social duties is talking about is truly everybody should get 1 ear of corn. If it's 9 of us and we produce 9 ears of corn, everybody should get 1 ear of corn. But then social duties takes it even further. And it takes it further in this way. Okay, if there's goddesses that have children, then they should get a little bit more for them babies. So us as brothers, myself, the council general, Minister Anwar, Minister Musa, and Minister Freemanel, we should take a half of ear corn, right? And that other half we give to the goddesses for their children. See, this is social duties. This is how the prophet talks about receiving and referring reciprocal helps and mutual obligations. See, it don't have anything to do with mine. This is mine. Mine. No, we are in the bands of society. And it's our duty to be friendly. And we hope that people be friendly to us. So this is how heavy this chapter is, how heavy of a lesson this chapter is. So it's
Yeah, I just want to add to what you're saying so our listeners can understand that we're talking specifically about the bands of society that we're talking about is a Moorish society. Now, remember yesterday we was on a class and we was talking about how sometimes the impression can come across like we're trying to convert somebody because we're talking about nationality and divine creed. That's not the case. We are returning back to us what actually belongs to us, because most of us have not realized that we have not been ourselves, that the problems that we see today in our communities and in our societies is the core of it is the lack of knowledge of self. And how when we are our true self or we in our true status, being ourselves, being a Moorish American, being the God man and woman, then we automatically give up the corn because we put the children and the women first. See, we know that the mindset of Black, Negro, colored, not doing that. It's, I got mine, you got yours to get. And it's all about if you wasn't there first, then you ain't got nothing coming. It's all about competition and things of that nature. We put the highest principle, we strive to practice the highest principles known to man as love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and we apply that in our everyday walk and being Moorish American. See, we're not just Moorish American, we got a fez on our head and a turban on our head. It's what's in our head and what's in our heart that makes us Moorish American. Islam, gratitude.
Islam, and gratitude for bringing that point up, General, about, you know, the society being Moorish America. We talking about the theocratic government and nation of Moorish America. You know, that society. You know, this will not work in any other society because they dealing with the gods of Europe. You know, and I'm not speaking radical, but the gods of Europe have historically been hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, and everything that harms, greed, corruption. Like the general said, I got mine, you got to get yours. You know, the God of Europe has been individuality. You know, but when you dealing with a community, not a neighborhood. See, a neighborhood is just where you sleep and eat. But when you're dealing with a community where there's a life force there, where the people have common interests and common goals and they're working together. See, that's something totally different. You know, that is nationality in practice, you know, which has nothing to do, like the general said, with religion. There's many nations on this earth that are made up. All of them are nationals of that nation, but there's many different religions in that nation. But when you ask all those people from those different religions, what is their nationality? They tell you Chinese, Japanese, Malaysian, French, German. See, they don't get caught up on the religion when it's dealing with their national identity. They're one free national name. So we have to, as Moorish Americans and Moorish Americans who are getting this word out to our people, because the general made a good point. Our people think, oh, that's as soon as they see this fez, oh, that's that Muslim thing. No. This is your nation, regardless of how you pray to the great God of the universe. Moorish America is our people's nation. You know, so we have to make that point clear, and gratitude for bringing that up, Jim.
Can I add one more thing?
Come on,
yeah,
Jim.
because I just recently experienced this, and we're talking about mentality. We're talking about principles. See, when the Moorish American make a decision to do something, he think about the bonds of affection. He think about, he remember the relations that bind us to love and unity and things of that nature. When he makes he don't make a promise of what if he do, he strives to fulfill it. You understand? So there's principles involved. But the Negro, black, and colored, the mentality of the black, Negro, colored don't have any principles. It's all about the getting and get what they can get, and don't care about any fulfillment or recognizing any principles. Even if they promise to do a thing or say a thing, they don't even strive to fulfill it, because they just lightly throw it away because it doesn't even mean nothing to them. You just another opportunist to be gotten. You see? And that's what I just went through. And I've always tried to see the God in our people, even if they're not conscious of these principles. I still try to see the God in them, but every time that happens, it never fails that they suppress the God in them and adhere to the Negro, black, and colored mentality. But this is where I have to remind myself not to get caught up, because it is a principle involved. And although we look alike, we all don't think alike. Islam, gratitude.
Islam, and gratitude for that, Jim. You know, our people, because of the conditions that we had to deal with, a lot of times our people are social misfits. You know, our people don't understand that chapter, can't begin to understand that chapter of social duties. You know, it's like a child that went hungry a lot growing up. You know, that child when they becoming an adult, they'll have a unhealthy relationship with food. They'll buy all kind of box freezers and a second freezer and another refrigerator, have stuff piled, stocked up because of those years that they didn't have it. You know, so if you think about our people, think about the years that we just didn't understand how to be social. You know, think about those years in chattel slavery when they took children from mothers and just had brothers breeding with sisters just to produce more slaves. You know, that's not conducive to understand. That's not conducive. That's not a conducive environment to understand the bounds of society, the bands of society. You know, and the most amazing thing to me is now we can't be victims, right? But we got to understand what has happened, what it has done to us. But the most amazing thing to me is that when the powers that be want to try to act like they don't understand why people act the way that they act. That's the most amazing thing to me. They want to act like, why is the crime rate so high in the inner city? Because you produced it. Don't ask why. You know, just be truthful and say, this is something that I produced. You know, so once again, we're not saying to our people, be victims. No, we got to take some responsibility in this new era of time, you know, and learn how to be social amongst ourselves like every other nationality does. This is not a new thing. This is not something that we're inventing. The prophet says, study nature and see people of nature also. You know, study people. Look at the our brothers and sisters from Central and South America. Look how when they come here, how they cling together, work together. See, this is social duties. This is that chapter, right in action, right in practice. Look at our brothers and sisters that come from Nigeria. They don't play around. They getting theirs as a group though, and they're taking care of themselves. And we can see this in all different nationalities. But when we look at our people, most of the time, the group thought is, I got to get mine. And all we got to do is look at the evidence from 1865 look at the evidence from 2022 back to 1865, and you'll see that has never done anything good for our people. That mindset of, I got to get mine. You know, prophet said Moors live together. We refuse to live together. You know, but other nationalities, 10 or 12 of them living in a 2-bedroom apartment. And people laugh at them, but guess what? Their rent is only $30 each a month. And they laughing at us struggling to trying to pay this $1,200, $1,300, $1,500, whatever we paying. You know, because we want to live by ourselves. I don't want nobody living with me. You know, this is the mindset though, you know, social duties. So I'm gonna go on to our next resource. It's coming from our Moorish literature. The Voice of the Prophet, Friday, September 18th, 1928. That's on page 22. And as I read this literature from our prophet, let's once again think about the title of today's class, the objective, those words, the chapter, social duties, all of the comments, definitions. Let's think about that as we're reading this portion from the Moorish literature. The Voice of the Prophet, Friday, September 18th, 1928. If you have race pride, and think about those duties of the citizen and the leader in Moorish America. If you have race pride and love your race, join the Moorish Science Temple of America and become a part of this divine movement. Then you will have the power to redeem your race because you will know who you are and who your forefathers were. Because where there is unity, there is strength. Together we stand, divided we fall. Come, good people, because I, the prophet, sent to redeem this nation from mental slavery, which you have now, need every one of you who think your conditions can be better. This field is open to strong men and women to uplift the nation and take your place in the affairs of men. If the Europeans and other nations are helping me, why not you? It is your problem. The Negro problem is being solved only as it can, and that is by the Moorish National Divine Movement. If you have a nation, you must have a free national name in order to be recognized by this nation. Now listen to what the prophet just said there, boys. See, the prophet was a mastermind. The prophet said, if you have a nation, right? So right there substantiates that we have our own nation. You must have a free national name in order to be recognized by this nation. See, that right there, this nation means he's talking about another nation besides our nation. As an American citizen, not a citizen of the USA, an American citizen. This is what was meant when it said, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things would be added unto you, the prophet. So in this portion of the prophet's literature, the Voice of the Prophet, nowhere in here did the prophet say grand sheik, chairman, leader, leadership. Didn't say it. See, because at our very foundation in this movement as citizens, as individuals, it's our duty to be strong men and women, to uplift fallen humanity, to seek that unity, have race pride, solve the Negro problem. See the solution for the Negro problem is not the leader's job. It's not his responsibility. It's everybody who says that they are Moorish American. It's everybody's responsibility to solve the Negro problem. And guess what? He told us we got help. He said the Europeans and other nations are helping. So if they was helping the prophet and we imitate the prophet, like he said, imitate I, the prophet, if they was helping the prophet, all we got to do is stand up and they'll help us. We don't have to know everything. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We got help. So just thinking about all that we have talked about in today's class, about, if you love me, feed my sheep, the objective to comprehend that leaders and citizens must serve in the theocratic government and nation of Moorish America. These words that we define: advocate, citizen, leader, duty. That chapter, social duties, this portion of the Moorish literature that the prophet spoke most eloquently about us jumping into action, not waiting for anybody, but all of us in our way, shape, and form being vanguards. So we're gonna look at this short YouTube video, and then I'm gonna open up the floor more. Once again, we do not own the rights to this video, this YouTube video. It is for educational purposes, and also I'm gonna bring up this screenshot here, this slide, and just because they playing around with our videos that we streaming, so we trying to cover all the bases. And this is a demonstration about copyright. Copyright law recognizes that not all uses of copyrighted works infringe on the rights of the copyright owner. Section 107 of the Copyright Act states, notwithstanding the provisions of Section 106 and 106A, the fair use of a copyrighted work, including such use by reproduction in copies or phono records, or by any other means specified by that section for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, in parentheses, including multiple copies for classroom use, scholarship, or research, is not an infringement of copyright. Fair uses of works do not require permission. So before we, I just wanted to read that before we view this YouTube video. Give me 1 second more. Make sure I share the sound, okay.
So I want to explore 2 or 3 other dimensions that you spoke about. You spoke about capacity, you spoke about leadership. So talk to us a little bit about what you see as, who are leaders and what is leadership? Is there a difference? Is it?
I know there's a lot of talk about leadership and wanting to become leaders. I don't think anybody should try to become a leader. It's quite obscene that I want to become a leader, that means all of you should be what? I don't know. I don't know what you would like to call yourself. It's not about you wanting to become a leader or someone wanting to become a leader. Because of a certain thing that you have done within yourself, or a certain level of observation, or a certain intelligence, or a certain experience, you are able to see something that most people are not able to see. The moment you're able to see something, then people will naturally look up to you as a leader because you're seeing something that they cannot see. And if you become a leader, there are many ways to become a leader. You can get elected, you can get selected, you can work it, you can pull other people down and become a leader, or simply people will rise you as a leader because they see that either you're able to see something or you're able to do something which they themselves cannot do. I feel this is the way leadership should happen, if you want to call it that someone is able to see something and do something that others cannot do, so everybody wishes he must take charge of the situation because naturally he will be able to do something that the others will not be able to do. So what is the quality of leadership? Leadership means once you sit on a perch, you better see clearer than others, otherwise you'll make a ridiculous fool of yourself. There's a whole, in the nation certain things have been happening.
Right.
Somebody sits on a perch and he doesn't see any better than you, he looks like a fool immediately. So it is not about you wanting to sit on the perch, you wanting to see something must get you to the perch. Not because you want to be above everybody else, you get to the perch. So what is the quality of a leader? I don't think there's any particular quality. One thing is, a leader means his sense of life is beyond himself. It's not about his sense of identity is beyond himself. Somebody becomes a leader because he's willing to think and feel and act for more people than himself. If you act for yourself, you're called self-centered. If you just act for the sake of 2 or 3 people you gather in the form of family, you are named as Dhritarashtra. There are modern names for that. If you identify yourself with the entire nation or the world, you'll be looked at in a different way. Essentially, your leadership will come from the right context depending upon what you're identified with. Because everybody needs an identity. What sort of identity have you taken will determine the context and the quality of your leadership.
In that context, isn't leadership something that, each of us can individually manifest? If I were to describe one dimension of leadership as saying it is about taking ownership to create a better outcome. In that context, we can convert leadership from a noun to a verb.
I don't know that much grammar, okay.
But you can try.
See, whatever we do, every human activity, the purpose of an activity is to produce something. Production may be a safety pin, a computer, love, joy, health, well-being, it doesn't matter what. We want to produce something. When we act, we want it to be effective. How small an act or how big an act is not the important. We want something to happen effectively, which means it's a question of efficiency, it's a question of with how little, how much more you could do. That's what makes you… Because all of us have the same amount of time in a day. People always tell me, Sadhguru, you had such a long day. I said, unfortunately, there's no long day, God, they give me only 24 hours. I would like to bargain for more, but it's not happening. You can make it more by increasing your efficiency, the way you function, including people as a part of yourself, where other people will function as a part of you so that you don't have to bother about so many things around you. In this sense, you can enhance what you do. But time-wise, all of us have the same time, we can't help it.
Right.
So, how much can you produce in how little time, in how little material is the question. In the limited span of time which we have as life, what is it that we can do? Is it just about efficiency? Is it about simply mindless efficiency, do better, do better? No. At different times in history, people seem to want different things on the surface. But essentially, no matter which time of history, who they are, which part of the world they are, everybody wants the same thing, well-being. But their idea of well-being, everybody has their idea how to get there, but everybody wants well-being, no question about that. It doesn't matter which part of the world you go, whether you came here 1,000 years ago or today, 100 years later, you will see people will be still seeking well-being. In pursuit of well-being, maybe 100 years ago somebody would be going in search of water, today you're going in search of the Wi-Fi cloud but still well-being. People's idea of well-being, whatever that is, but people are only well only when something beautiful happens within themselves. They think they're going to cause it to themselves by some means. But people have been happy before the Wi-Fi came, people have been happy before the automobile came, people have been happy before all the luxuries we are enjoying today appeared. So what I'm saying is, well-being, if you're in pursuit of well-being, essentially, it is about what happens within the human being. What happens within the human being in the name of so many things, I don't want to name all the things. In the name of so many things, what we call as family, society, and another world which we call as corporate world all these things we created, these are all different names or different mechanisms that we believe will bring well-being to us. Somebody built a family, somebody built a corporation, both in pursuit of well-being, isn't it? I must tell you this. The first time I was at Davos so many years ago, they were almost resentful. Why… what is a mystic doing an economic summit? A particular CEO who was in charge of a top computer manufacturing company, 3 months later they got sold out to the Chinese.
We can guess who they were.
So he was very resentful. What are you doing here? Then I told him, see, what's your business? He said, I do computers. So see, whether you manufacture a computer or a safety pin or in between anything, fundamentally, this is about human well-being. The basic business is human well-being. You may do it through your computer, somebody will produce safety pin, somebody will produce a cloth, somebody will produce something else. It doesn't matter what you're doing, the fundamental business is human well-being, and that's my business too. And that's why I'm here.
Islam. Can everybody hear me? Islam. So, Islam. Just wanted to show that video because it demonstrated, you know, a portion of everything that we have dealt with today as far as dealing with leadership, what a citizen is, what a leader is, the duties, the title of our class, the objective. I just thought it brought that, back to full circle, so we're going to open up the floor, and the question on the floor, can we truthfully say that we have fed his sheep? We're going to call on our council general first, our officials, and then we'll go to the other Moors on the panel. Islam, General, you there?
Islam, Islam already risen and giving praise and honor to our holy prophet, giving praise to Allah, and honor to our holy prophet, honor with honors due, honor to all of our officials, honor to everyone on the panel today. And this is a grand topic, giving honor to the question, because what came to mind as I was looking at the video, I spoke to someone at Woodburn, at the place where I work. And I told him, I said, I don't work for Woodburn, I work at Woodburn. And I was saying it for the soul's sake, reason that my work deals with the souls of men. And like in so many words that my brother Mystic said, for the human well-being, for the well-being of the human family. That's what it's about. It's the ultimate objective and ultimate goal is the well-being of the whole human family. Now, by whatever means that we go or choose to go in order to get there, we have an obligation, a responsibility, and we are accountable or how we are accountable for the choices that we make and how we get there. Now, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali giving us instructions. Know thyself and our Father God Allah is the way in order to go in that direction in the proper state. And I want to start from chapter 60 in the chronological order, the holy instruction from the prophet, the soul of man. Because we have divine instructions. The blessing, O man, of the external part is health, vigor and proportion. The greatest of these is health. What health is to the body, even honesty is to the soul. That thou has a soul is of all knowledge, that most certain of all truth, the most plain unto thee, be meek, be grateful for it. Seek not to know it perfectly, it is inscrutable. Thinking, understanding, reasoning, willing, call not these the soul, they are its actions, but they are not its essence. Raise it not too high, that thou be raise it not too high, that thou be not despised, be not thou like unto those who fall by climbing, neither debase it to the sense of brutes, not be thou like to the horse and the mule in whom there is no understanding. Search, and it's the point I'm trying to get to. Search it not too high, that thou be not despised, be not thou like unto those who fall by climbing, neither debase it to the sense of brutes, not be thou like to those to the horse and mule in whom there is no understanding. Search it by its faculties, know it by its virtues. They are more in number than the hairs of the head, and stars of heaven are not to be counted with them. And your question was dealing with, the topic of the class, excuse me, subhanAllah. The topic of the class was dealing with, if you love me, feed my sheep, feed my sheep. And that instruction was given to Peter by Yehoshua. Now, Yehoshua, will prophet know what you all is, Yehoshua will come again. Now, that instruction was given to Peter because Peter was identified by Yehoshua as being his rock. His rock upon which he built his temple. You see where I'm going? Peter also represents faith. The prophet tells us in our instruction, searches by its faculty our soul. Know it by its virtue. See, faith is needed in this process because, see, in that process of Peter being tested, he was tested, although he was acknowledged as being the rock on which the temple, which Yehoshua was built, he also wavered. There were times where fear set in. When the Roman soldiers came for Yehoshua, when he cut the soldier's ear off, and then it was another time when Yehoshua asked him to walk out on the water, and then he began to walk out on the water, but he began to sink because fear, doubt set in. The reason why I'm saying this is because on this level, there are going to be many times where you'll be tried and tested. Especially, they're going to become a crisis in your life, and that's going to be exactly where you're going to be tested at. There are going to be a many that come, and there are going to be a many that go. They may not be able to see this lesson when they're in the middle of their crisis because they're going to get caught up in their human, carnal, finite point of view. But the objective and the goal is to overcome that finite, carnal point of view and gain strength and exercise the faith and be one with your Father God Allah. Because see, what happened was Peter made a speedy reparation to utmost of thy power, although he doubted. When he began to sink, he reached his hand up for the Christ. And the Christ pulled him up as he began to sink. And then he began to walk across the water. What do that mean to us? See, that's a state of consciousness that each and every one of us must possess in being doctors of divinity and doing this work. Because there's going to be many times that we all be tested and tried. This whole concept was tested and tried just a few weeks ago. And some of us made it, and some, it ain't over yet. But some of us have doubted, and some have jumped ship. Some of us did whatever. However, whatever decision that individual made, the test is still not over. Because that might have been something that that individual soul needed to do in order to learn the lesson. Because see, once you come this way and you take a vow, see, they say it's better for you not to have grabbed hold of the gospel plow and then grab hold of the gospel plow and then let it go. See, concentration is a part of, it's something you should exercise when you meditate, because we are a people who are accustomed only of doing something at the point of a sword. So we exercise our faith when our back is up against the wall. But how many of us can exercise our faith and cross the borderline at will? We don't have to be compelled to exercise our faith. We exercise our faith because we know that Allah is, was, and evermore will be. We know that the everlasting gospel is good, it was, and evermore shall be. We know that spirit, man, that I am, not the body nor the soul, but I am a spirit and a part of Allah. And I know what life, my life, Minister Malik, I know what my life is actually spending the bill. So there's nothing that can happen to me, death, finances, relationship, nothing can take me off the count. And I've been doing this day by day for over 20 some years now and been through many tests and still on the front row. And I've seen many come and many go. My eyes have seen the glory of the coming of Allah. And each time I see it, I get stronger and stronger and stronger. But each time that I think that I know that I'm getting stronger, I can guarantee you there's another test coming. And this is the faculty, this is the faith that we got to build. Not be compelled, but live the life accordingly of a Moorish American. This is why when you don't want to make your meetings, make your meetings. When you find yourself being inconsistent, strive to get back on track and be consistent. Catch yourself. Because there will be times that you will waver. You can guarantee you that. It's you tricking you, talking you out of doing this work. And then you're going to find somebody else in this council to blame for quitting. Ask me how I know. I ain't telling you what somebody told me. I'm telling you what I've been through. But what I did, I talked back to that lower self and I said, get ye behind me, Satan. You won't get me. Because it's not Minister El-Bey's fault because I want to quit. Nah, devil. You ain't gonna get me there. I ain't gonna try to look for something or a character defect in somebody else to find a reason to quit. Nah, sir. We don't have plenty of them. Come with great ideas. And because we didn't take the ideas in order to build upon right then and there, they got mad, took their toys home and quit. They stopped coming to meetings. They stopped showing up. That's why they was in the process of being a student minister, because they have not been tried, found to be true. They haven't been found, tested, high gomo, tested, found, and found to be true. You're going to be tested here. You're going to be tested by your own lower self, nobody else. Although you might call Minister Anwar and talk about Minister Malik, it ain't about Minister Malik. It's about you. What you trying to fake yourself out to believe, to quit. So when you love Noble Drew Ali, you understand that the life is built to build, your life is spent to build a temple perfected man, and you know what it takes in order to be one of his disciples. Because he said he gonna let the fire touch some of his good morals. See? And can we stay on board? Can we still show up every day that we have? When we make them, and look, we're doing meetings on Zoom. Imagine if we had to do them in person. And if we can't make meetings on Zoom, you already know, forget about it if it's in person. Because we got all this other stuff to do. All this other stuff is more important. I'm telling you, all this goes on in your own head, not outside of yourself. All this happens right within your own. This is the wrestle. This is what you wrestle with. You wrestle with your own devil, not mine. I wrestle with my devil, but you wrestle with yours. And this is what Peter was able to prevail. And this is why he was acknowledged as from Yehoshua as being the rock that he built his temple upon. Study those lessons on a metaphysical level, and you will see Peter and all the other 12 disciples. It's nothing so much outside of yourself. All those disciples or characteristics are within yourself. Doubting Thomas, Judas, the one who betrayed. All the hypocrisy is hidden up in you. But do we have the strength? Me and Mr. Amwell was talking today. He said the Muslim brother was talking about, yeah, I know what that meant when Yehoshua was in the wilderness. That means that he was, it was funny how he said Yehoshua was hiding from the Roman soldiers. Although that probably was true. Because when he appeared before Mary, he was disguised. She didn't even know who he was because he was out to kill him. You understand? But all that has a literal meaning and also have a metaphysical meaning too, because all these lessons unfold and you will experience these things as you go throughout your divine ministry. And this is just your first year. We talk about ministers we also include ministers who've been here 20 years, who've been doing this ministry for 20 years or more. And we still going through it. So I am grateful, gratitude, for the glory of Allah. I am so happy I can able to demonstrate on this level. It makes my trials and tribulations such a joy because it brings out the God in me. It brings out the God in me, Mo. I love it. Yeah, so I'm able to feed this sheep, Mo. I'm able to feed Noble Drew Ali sheep. And I strive one day at a time to keep the prophet and love out front. Islam gratitude.
Islam and gratitude for that lesson within itself, Jim. Gratitude, honest to you. Yeah, the only one that can demand a test from me is me. So got to make it applicable. Another mastermind used to always say, make this gospel applicable. So grand measure and gratitude, gentlemen. We're going to go to our Grand Secretary of State, Dr. Sharon Khadijah Bey.
Islam, Mr.
Islam.
Shankar Bey already risen. And for the question on the floor, I cannot follow that. But I'm going to give it my best. Islam. I'll say yes. Can we truly say we fed his sheep or we have to feed the sheep? I would say yes, because daily we are out and about in society, on our jobs, and like I speak for myself, I give them Noble Drew Ali and give them this gospel without saying Noble Drew Ali, because they ain't gonna understand. But I drop the jewels all the time. Family, friends, represent self, represent the prophet everywhere I go. So I would say yes. And I've been on this road, like a minister said. I seen some come all the way up to the gate, so to speak, and turn around because it's something they have to work on, something that's within them that they have not yet conquered. And once you say you mastered the thing, you will be tested by the very thing you say you mastered to see if you mastered it. So we all got work to do. We all have something to work on, and it will be continuously work. But the prophet say once you study self, then you must go and study self again. So, but every like the prophet say, every trial and tribulation, a soldier must meet his foe. So to make them stronger. So grand classes like this is what's needed. You have to show up to grow up. You know, when I say grow up, that means grow up in all areas that what we need to take to have to build this nation and to know whom's we are, Moorish American. So I would say yes, we do feed their sheep on a daily basis. And being one of their sheep, I feed myself daily. I have to, because there's nowhere to go from here. There's nowhere to go but up, so to speak, from here. Because once you've been to the bottom, you already know what that's like. So you could trick yourself out and making excuses if you want, and weeping just to be weeping, and thinking something's better on the other side if you want. It's just to show that you still have work to do. So I say Islam and gratitude for letting me speak.
Islam, Minister Khadijah Bey, for that grand measure. And I agree with you. You definitely have done this work for so many years tirelessly and for years fed Allah sheep. So gratitude for all that you've done. Gratitude for that measure. So Moors, we're gonna open up the floor, the question on the floor, and let's when we answering the question, let's remember all that we went over today: social duties, the the vocabulary words, the voice of the prophet, the video with the guru, talking about leadership basically comes forth. It's not nobody says nobody is supposed to say, oh, I'm gonna go be a leader. No, that your words, works, and deeds are the proof of your messiahship. So let's think about all of that. When we answering this question on the floor, can we truthfully say that we have fed his sheep? So we're going to open up the floor now, Moors. Floor is open. Islam, what we got? Crickets? Islam, we got the goddess Muhammad Bey.
Islam, proper
Islam.
praise and honors reiterated. I first want to say it's a grand class, and I can't camel back off of what the general and the secretary said. Those were such grand measures, but my experience, I can say that I definitely on a regular basis try to bring forward what the prophet brought us for all people, for all humanity on a daily basis, even when I go through things, because that is our job, and sometimes it is hard to go in yourself and be able to help others in that area, regardless to what it is. But I will say this is beneficial for me. I come here and get fed, and then I can go out into the world and not be of the world. you know, and still be able to be my Moorish self and try and stay in my higher self in all situations because of class. And when we're able to do that and we stay studying what the prophet gave us and keeping the prophet out front, it makes us be able to feed the sheep and keep ourselves fed as well. Islam, so gratitude for letting me speak.
Islam, I agree with you 100%, Goddess. We definitely got to feed ourselves in order to feed the sheep. You know, we can't starve and think we're going to feed the sheep. No, you won't have anything to feed them with, you know, so we definitely got to, you know, do our due diligence and studying and preparing and all of that. And is it any good news from Ohio yet, Goddess?
She's being stingy. We're still
Okay.
waiting, but not
Uh,
long now.
praise Allah. Praise Allah.
Gratitude.
Praise Allah. Mighty Musa, come on, Mo.
Islam, praise and honor already given. The answer to the question, can I truthfully say it? Absolutely. I can truthfully say that I have fed his sheep. I can say it. I've obviously not fed enough of his sheep because we still have much work to do. But I can say that I have fed his sheep literally and figuratively. While giving out food, I would drop jewels and get into conversations and let folks know about, you know, without even letting them, you know, like the Secretary of State and the Council General often say when they're talking, not necessarily letting them know that they're getting the prophet's words, feeding them the prophet's words, feeding them the prophet's lessons. Other times I'm giving it straight out, teaching that this is coming from the prophet Noble Drew Ali. Because the lessons, I believe, are universal. You know, I believe that what the prophet brought forth are universal lessons. And I believe that they translate to anywhere, especially when you're speaking in terms of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. That's a beautiful way to base your life. That's a beautiful way to base your life. And so, yeah, well, the answer is yes, but the answer also is obviously not enough because there's still this work to do. I've had this in my possession for 50 years, 50 chronological years. And I have lived accordingly. Even when I may have had doubts and been in my lower self, I've always been the type of person to pull myself out of it immediately and make a speedy reparation, you know, because I understand the power of redemption for a man is also a magnificent thing because people need to see you be able to redeem yourself. That because we know that we are going to fall, but can you get up, stand erect, and then move accordingly? So again, that my answer is yes, but obviously not enough. Islam.
Islam moves in gratitude for that grand measure and that honesty, you know, because we can all do better. That's what I hear you saying, you know, you've done this, but you can also do more, you know, and that's a reality. See, because we have so much work to do, different aspects of work that we have to do simultaneously, you know, and if you think about it too much, it'll be overwhelming. We just got to get to work, you know, and you know, as far as our sheep, when we out here on this battlefield, and I look to my right and I look to my left, and I see y'all there, that gives me strength, you know, to get this job done. And also, and I said it before, I'm gonna say it again, if I fall on this battlefield, do not worry about me. don't let that flag touch the ground. You know, I'll be all right. You know, don't let our flag touch the ground. And I'm saying that as a metaphor for our nation. It ain't about any individual. It's about us collectively. You know, and if we work as a group, we can feed more sheep as a group than an individual. You know, as we work as a group of vanguards. You know, so gratitude, Musa. You did have your hand up first, Minister Anwar, but the goddess jumped in on you, so let her go, and then I'll get you, Mo. Islam goddess Sheba.
Islam God, man. When I think of the question, can we truthfully say that we have fed his sheep? And I think about the objective, which is to comprehend that leaders and citizens must serve in the theocratic government and indigenous nation of Moorish America. I can say that the answer is yes and no. I've been with the Moorish American government for 1 year, and I can say that yes, indeed, we have been feeding the sheep. We have indeed. I can see within myself maturity and growth, and so it's self-evident within my own self, and seeing the demonstrations that have gone on, and seeing the things that we have experienced, and how we have sort of persevered through those, that we apply the lessons and we demonstrate and we teach others. These are self-evident. But when I think about one of the reasons why I joined the Moorish American government is because the Moorish American government has as its almost a mandate, or as its reason for being, it's the only place where Moors of the Americas can be themselves. So it's good when we as Moorish Americans can demonstrate, like I'm also a Canadian, and I can say that a lot of people respect this Moabitus for her ability to judge rightly. When Europeans are having debates about what to do, I sit in the governance position where I work, and so I am El-Bey in action. And when they have difficulties or disputes, they say, "Well, let's take it to me, and let her decide, and we will respect what she says," because she always comes from an understanding of the information given, and a right-mindedness and an ethicalness that people feel good about. So I can see that in myself. I can see that I demonstrate. I can see that everybody else demonstrate. But what I think about is the grand vision. And as Sadhguru, his demonstration on that video, he talked about well-being. And he talked about well-being and in the fact that everybody's creative outputs in the nation relates to well-being. And I think to myself, what a wonderful time it will be when we evolve and unfold to the point where we could say, and this is my thing right now, and I'm thinking, I don't know what every Moorish American wants, because what everybody classifies as well-being is different. How they see their day and how they see their life unfolding and what they want to do. But for me, as long as it relates to something that is good and wholesome and a building and causes evolution and evolving of a people and a nation, the nation of Moorish America needs to be in a position where we can offer all of our citizens, and especially our children, the opportunity to see a vision and have it unfold within the scope of their nation. So for me, I got to apply these lessons sufficiently that I, for my part, fulfill what I see as the overall mission, that we can all seek our liberation under our own from cradle to grave. Whatever you want to do for your people, whatever you envision for yourself, you can give it to your people, not to Rome. Because the problem with being amalgamated, because I think that we have our nationality, but we functionally and daily are still amalgamated, as far as I'm concerned. The way of Rome, the gods or ideals of Rome are not ours. So even when we apply ourselves as best we can, it never seems quite right to me. It's always just wrong because it's the wrong venue for me. It's never quite right because Rome and Moors is not aligned. So for me, that's the piece that I see where we need to continue to unfold. So it's yes and no, or yes and we need more. We're on the way. I see that when we have reached a space where we can say that for the majority of our people, that we offer them this ability to unfold and do what they will in the service of their people, then I'd say that the answer is a full and resounding yes. Until that time, I say, yeah, kinda. Yeah, we're getting there, but we still have a ways to go. Islam, thank you for letting me speak.
Islam, and gratitude, Minister, for that grand measure, because that's just being truthful. We definitely are striving, and we definitely have work to do. Because the history, if we look at the history of our prophet's divine and national movement since he left the scene, we see that we have work to do, but we have done some work, so gratitude for that measure, because, other Moors like yourself helped me to not be so hard on our people, because I'm hard on myself also, and it's very helpful when I hear measures like the Moors are given, because my answer to the question would be no, we ain't fed nobody. We got work to do. Stop playing around, that kind of thing. But when I hear Moors that are not as hard on themselves as I am, that helps me also. So gratitude, guys. I just, you were talking about that word well-being, because the guru, when he was saying that, I was thinking the same thing. Like, if everybody's ideas was geared towards the well-being of humanity, wow, imagine what the world would be, and I looked up well-being, and it came up on Wikipedia. It says well-being, also known as wellness, prudential value or quality of life, refers to what is intrinsically valuable relative to someone. So the well-being of a person is what is ultimately good for this person, what is in the self-interest of this person. Well-being can refer to both positive and negative being. It is in its positive sense, it is sometimes contrasted with ill-being. So just that whole notion of well-being is a beautiful demonstration, because it can encompass so many things. And well-being doesn't really have anything to do with having a lot of money or property, prestige, none of those things. It is being comfortable. It is being content. It is having some things in your life that bring you joy. That's well-being, and we can't get that still staying under this man's society, this man's government. We can get a semblance of it, but like you said, all the time, you thinking like this just ain't it. It's okay, but it just ain't it. You know, so gratitude, goddess. Minister Aliel, got your hand up?
Islam. Islam more. Having already risen, you know, I was sitting here listening, and all the demonstrations were like right on point, you know. And your question, can we truly say we have fed his sheep? And I looked up the word sheep. You know, why do they keep referring to people as sheep? And they say the person who is too easily influenced or led. And that's about the definition of a sheep. A sheep have a tendency to stick some food out there and he'll go anywhere. He will, that's his behavior, you know. So I got this book called, I'm gonna just read a paragraph out of it. It's called Leadership for Age of Higher Consciousness. I just pick up books because they sound like they're about something and they end up being about something. This says providing protection and freedom from fear. That's this chapter here. I'm gonna just read the paragraph. But that's the note. Protection, people want to be protected and they want to get rid of this fear they got, you know? So if you coming at them with words, preaching from the choir, even information on a piece of paper. And Minister Rogers Bay and I talked about it quite a few times. Some of our people want to see brick and mortar. They want to see something in place, you know, and not talking about other boards, but it's one up in Chicago that's got a title, Counselor General, and he's the only one there. He's the only one up there. So a lot of times we'll hang on to these titles and say, you know what I mean? Somebody's gonna notice me now. I got a title, you know. Words without works is dead, you know. Let me read. It says, leaders are responsible for the safety of everyone in their care, in their charge. Not only do leaders who genuinely love their people implement policies for their benefit, they also make personal sacrifices for them. When people feel valued and cared for in this way, security in the knowledge that their leader wishes them well. They reciprocate with loyalty and support, readily accepting inconveniences and oddities without complaint. Because they know their leader got their back. Their leader doing something that's gonna benefit them. You know, and I noticed here in society, most people are afraid to let go of that belief, to take on something else. I think it's called cognitive dissonance. You know, no, I'm all right over here, and not realizing over here is killing them. But say they so used to being abused, you know, like especially churches, and I'm not talking radical. Again, most ministers preach. Most ministers tell stories, and it falls on the ears of his sheep. That's why they use the word sheep. They don't research for themselves. And with all of this information, because along this journey, I got tired too. But I've been on this journey a long time with Counselor General, General Secretary of State, the Vice Chancellor. We've been on this journey for a long time, ups and downs, and and going in the courthouses without flags. we used to rumble. And most of the time we got our point across. Because truth don't need no support. And most of those corporate entities, it is built on sand. They're gonna crumble one day. But most people don't have a clue that they're being used and abused from birth. But I took a lot. Am I feeding? Yes, I am. To the degree that, and Minister Malik and I was talking about it earlier, when you got this information and you can see the truth before it even gets to you, and people just going along to get along. Oh, I'm all right. You know, I get on TikTok from time to time, and young women and young men minister. I mean, they thumping that Bible. And Mr. Malik said it. I asked him one question: what happened to the 18 missing years of Jesus Christ? Nobody knew. Nobody, but they was thumping that Bible. I took some lessons that was printed out to us earlier, and it deals with Do Black Lives Matter? 1 and 2, 2 lessons. And I know I've given out 1,000 of them. And then the last ones I gave out, I even put my number on it. Give me a call and we'll explain it. I saw some Europeans on Charles Street with Black Lives Matter signs. It had to be about 15 or 20 of them. And I looked and I stopped and I backed up and I gave them this lesson. Read this. And it's unfortunate when we hear stuff like Black Lives Matter. Uh-oh, that's another door. We well on our way. It don't mean jack. It doesn't. They ain't going nowhere. We've been marching for how many years? Come on. Prophet brought some divine lessons that can stir up that stagnant pool. It just can't. I tell people on my job, they give me that respect because they know certain things that I value. So they'll give me that respect. And when my wife come on the job, they be like, yeah, good down there. But that's the respect. And I think you was talking about it, Vice Chair, about people will see you with a crown on your head, or kufi, and automatically that's that Muslim stuff, and not knowing that Muslim stuff is gonna pick them up and put them on some solid ground, But I give out a lot of information. Sometimes it's tiresome. It is, People say, and like I said, I put my name on those printouts, and I might, out of about 1,000, I might have got 10 calls in the last. I've been doing it for like 5 straight years. I've got a bunch of them now. But it's just the people's attitude. Yeah, okay. When you bring them in that light. But the prophet said, finite minds can't comprehend infinite. So they ain't gonna understand. And I ask people, why you celebrate Thanksgiving? Oh, me and my family, all of us, we get together every year. I said, you can do that anytime. Do you realize there was a massacre that took place on Thanksgiving? Your people. Oh, that was a long time ago. I just throw my hands up, okay. Because I'm telling you, when the time comes, there's gonna be a lot of them screaming and howling. you know, but I do my best. And sometimes I get impatient, you know, because I want it. You might have heard me say this before. I might sound selfish, but I want the government to manifest while I'm here. I want to see it. Maybe I'm just here to lay the groundwork. So I'll keep doing what I'm doing and I'll keep showing up. Peace and love, man.
Islam, minister, and gratitude for that grand measure. You made some good points, and two of them. Our people, when they see the fez, when they see the turban, when they hear us talk, you know, the reason they say, "Oh, that's that Muslim stuff," is because we haven't manifested a nation. Wait till we manifest the nation. They're gonna stop saying that's that Muslim stuff, and they're gonna start saying, "Oh, that's that nationality stuff." You know, so you know, it's a reason that they say, "Oh, that's that Muslim stuff." You know, because we got the brothers who come with the slick talk as Moorish Americans and get in all kind of nut, you know, all the stuff that shouldn't have been done in the name of the prophet. That's what most people see. That's why they say, "Oh, that's that Muslim stuff." All right, wait till things and soon when things start to manifest, that'll change. That'll change, and yeah, everybody loves Yehoshua, but everybody loves Jesus, but nobody will pick that cross up and follow. You know, they love him. They ain't picking that cross up and following. Yeah, they ain't doing that. So gratitude, Mo. Mighty Musa, you got your hand up.
Islam,
Yes.
praise and honor is already given. A couple of things. One, going on what the senior deputy counsel general Ali was saying. I notice when I'm in garb or when I have on the fez or kufi that people's conduct, they raise their conduct or they straighten themselves up. You know, they start speaking properly, or they're watching their words around. You know, where they may have been speaking in slang or jive with somebody and talking a certain way or talking recklessly. Most times I see them, they straighten up and they, you know, how you doing, good brother? How you doing, sir? How you doing? You know, so what I see mostly is respect. Now, they may not be privy to what it actually means to be a Muslim, but I noticed that they must know that we stand for higher principles and stand erect. So that's what I notice most times when I'm seen in the Kufi or a Feds, and one of the quote NBCs sees me. Another thing, and this may be something that the goddess Shebe can address, and it goes to our will being challenged or being taken. They're now mandating vaccines, I believe, in Canada, and there's a huge rebuff against it, where they're actually protesting, I believe, across the country. I don't know how widespread that is, and maybe again, the goddess Shebe can speak to it. But I do know here it has become a political thing because it seems like they are forcing you to do something that you may or may not want to do. I see both sides of why someone may want to take the vaccine, because they see that they think this is a real situation going on out here, and they're trying to protect themselves from it. And they take vaccines for the flu and pneumonia or whatever, so they'll go ahead and take the vaccine for this. And I see why people may not, because they don't trust this country. And this country has bamboozled before, putting smallpox on blankets, giving people syphilis down in Tuskegee. So I can see why they will be hesitant to accept taking a vaccine. So again, I see both sides of it, and I think it's just something that you have to do accordingly from your best judgment. But yes, Goddess Shebe, can you speak to what is happening on the ground in Canada as far as this is concerned? Islam.
Islam, Brother Musa, they're protesting. Canadians are protesting. I guess the point of where I would say the straw that broke the camel's back, because most Canadians are vaccinated. Like we have over 80% retention on the vaccinations, right? And most Canadians think it's for their good, and most Canadians, I would say Canadians trust their government a lot more than Americans trust theirs, and I would say for some reasonable reasons. But the problem came where the truckers, who are considered as essential workers and were able to cross the border at will because they transport all kinds of things across North America, right? They didn't have to be vaccinated. And the vaccination mandate, which is in almost all countries now, every country has almost every country has some kind of vaccination mandate. They're almost all the same anyways. They pushed the vaccination mandate on the truckers. And the truckers ain't backing down. They're bringing the convoys through all major cities. I don't even live in a major city, and they were already in my city, blowing the horns, and they're really resisting this, and they're prepared. They're prepared to sort of bring things to their knees, bring matters to its knees, because of course the capitalist system is built upon just-in-time distribution of needs, of goods and services, right? So if the trucks ain't moving, we don't get water, we don't get broccoli, we don't get baby food, we don't get, all that kind of stuff. They don't get medicine. So if they are expressing their right to protest, now that's kicked off all the other disparate groups who, like the nurses who've been fighting back, because nurses have been told that if they nurses and other people in other professions that are considered to be first line have been told that if they're not properly vaccinated, they will just be either terminated or they'll be suspended without pay, right? And so there's resistance everywhere. It's placed what I would call the everyday societal workings on its head. We got situations where there's no EMS on the road because of the logjam of due to the shortage of medical staff, and then people needing to get places, and now because there's not enough staff in the hospital, the EMS workers are having to keep the patient in the ambulance in the parking lot. Like there's all kinds of things going on, right? And so it's causing a major disruption. So Canadians, even though I would say that Canadians are mostly obedient people, very law-abiding, and mostly trusting, there's still a remnant of people that absolutely hold to the right to think and the right to make decisions as best suits them. And even though they're not the majority, there's enough that is causing what I would call a breakdown in key areas. So that is essentially what's happening. I would say that by no means are the protests as big as in some countries, but this is a small country. Canada's got, there are fewer Canadians in all of Canada, though the land mass be bigger than the United States, there are fewer than 40 million of us. There's fewer Canadians than there are so-called African Americans. That's how small, right? And so I'm somewhat I'm impressed by how a small country that's quite affluent, right, with a high standard of living, people people still hold to the right to think about what's right for them and to do it, to be able to have the freedom to act on those things and not have their livelihood be just totally snatched away. Because dismissal is a pretty large thing.
Mhm.
You know, yeah. So yeah, that's what's happening up here. So we'll see how it unfolds. The truckers aren't stopping. The nurses and teachers haven't rolled over. Yeah, and it's been a while now. So we'll see how that goes, because a lot of people have been are on suspension now, and they're not getting any money. They're not making a livelihood. They're just sitting home and they're just saying, well, we'll just see what happens. It'll be what it'll be. So we'll see what happens in good old Canada. Islam.
Islam.
Gratitude.
There was Islam. There was a time in history when people actually demonstrated their power as citizens, and then there was a time when they gave up that power, and that happened like right around the time of World War II. So governments took control of the people after those years. And governments started to act like the leaders in government started to act like the nation and the government was theirs and the people was theirs. But what is happening today is the people are starting to wake up, all around this world, and starting to say, wait a minute, because they've read these same words that we read all the time and take for granted, but they demonstrate this in other countries. Governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. All right. We read those words and just think it's something poetic. But other people read those words and they enact it. So those truckers in Canada, if enough of them decide to, you know what, we're gonna strike, the government is gonna listen to whatever they say, because that will mess with their economics. It's all about money. That's all it is. All about money. Vaccine mandates, that's all about money. Because you get the vaccine for free, but somebody got to pay for it. So who's paying for it? The government is paying for it, right? Now, we know that the government don't have a business where they make money. How does the government get paid? By us, taxes. So we actually paying for the vaccines. And they got a nerve to say it's a mandate. You got to do it. You got to pay for it, and you got to do it. So it's all about money. And if you follow the paper trail, you can see actually what's happening. But guess what? They not gonna go too long without them trucks riding up and down the road before they make a decision to go ahead and concede in some kind of way. But as citizens. And guess what? This was a grand measure, because it goes back to the beginnings of our class. We have to be citizen advocates for our nation, our people, and our government. Because there's nothing any greater than the citizen. Because whose government, who actually owns the government? It is the citizens.
It's the citizens. That's exactly where I'm going.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Islam, I just remembered when you were speaking that I saw in the news today that because the numbers of, well, that's what they say anyway. That's what they say. The number of COVID cases is falling. So they're thinking of considering repealing the the vaccine mandate. What a timely, very timely decision, very timely consideration. So they're thinking of rolling it back, because in some places in the province of Quebec, they were thinking of financially penalizing all residents or citizens of the province of Quebec by tax time when they filed a tax return. Anybody who had not been vaccinated twice, they were going to levy a fee, a penalty, because all the provinces have their own. Canada has universal health care, and healthcare is run per province, or you would say state. And so everybody has their Medicare card and identification. It's all filtered through the province and then ends up with the Fed, right? So they were considering penalizing them. And there was a hue and cry over that, and Quebecers are like the French in that sense, that they'll take to the streets almost immediately if they feel that their rights are being breached. But it seems as though the mandate is quietly rolling itself back, and I would say it's probably from the societal pressures, because you can't really have nurses and medical staff saying that they'd rather sit down, and then the trucker saying that they're not going to deliver, and then the teacher saying that they're not prepared. And like, you really can't run a civil society with everybody doing that. Things will just break down. And so, because these are all corporations, and they run off of profit and efficiency, you have to sort of calculate how much they're willing to lose. So they're thinking about rolling it back. Islam,
grand measures. We had that time.
Yes, sir, man. I'll say just one more thing.
Go ahead, Mo.
And just in a nutshell, if this doesn't show you that how easily we can move this thing to nationhood, you're not paying attention. Islam.
We gotta understand our power, and I'm just, in closing, before I call on our general for some closing words, I just want to say this, that we always gotta hold this in our hearts and our minds, that whatever our nation does or does not do, it's up to us. Because governments, nations are instituted amongst men. Who are the men? It's us, not just males, but our goddesses also. And they derive their power from who? So who institutes, and where does the power come from? It all keeps going back to the people, the citizen. And that's why we have to be citizen advocates for our people, our nation, and our government. And if all of us are being that, see, we don't have to look for no leader, because all of us are going to be leading the way. Because we shouldn't even need a leader, because we always talk about what's the number one question? Who made you? Allah. And if Allah is the father of the universe and he made us, that's the leader right there. And then he was so merciful, he sent us a prophet. We got a father there, So we don't have to keep looking for a father figure. We can do this. The prophet talks about more ingenious citizens. That's us. So gratitude for the grand class, Moors. Before we close out, I'm gonna call on the general and see if he has any closing words. You there, General?
Yeah, Islam. We just got to keep in mind, those who have ears to hear and eyes to see, we got to keep in mind that we must be obedient to Allah and learn wisdom and give the instructions that wisdom gives. Because, like I said, this is a whole nother level. We talk even with the citizenship. The citizenship, we are in the world, but we are not of the world. The citizenship of the day is not of this world. So you're talking about teaching people how to think like a God. You're talking about they don't need a leader. The leader that they need to be is themselves. But that's a process. You have the infinite understanding and you have the carnal mind. And finite minds can't comprehend infinite things. So our job is simultaneously we have to teach always on a divine level. Always on a divine level, and teach man that he and his God is one. Seek ye first the kingdom of God of heaven, and then everything else will be added unto thee. Because if he don't know who he is, it don't matter what government he agreed to be a part of, what type of citizen he choose to be. You understand? So he have to realize that he is Yehoshua come again. He is Jesus on a whole nother level. And Peter is one of your 12 powers. Before this truth dawns on you, you are a carpenter. You are a builder of your own character. Prophet Noble Drew Ali gave us tools and taught us how to use these tools as a carpenter to build your own character. There's responsibility when it comes to the self. You're not gonna get where you think you want, you're not gonna get where you want to go unless you address your psyche first. A builder in the realm of matter. He gave you a body and a soul in order to perfect the temple of perfected man. This, we can bring immortality to light in the flesh. Peter is a fisherman, one who draws his thoughts, you, from the changeable, unstable sea of sense, getting caught up in the false sensations of life, the waters of life. You always living in your feelings about whatever, government, whatever, about the shots, all about whatever topic come across that television, you all in your feelings about it. Unstableness, talking about things that you have no control over, but the thing that you do have control over, you just abandon it, and that's your own psyche. You know, when you realize that you are mind and that all things are originally generated in the laboratory of mind, right above your head, right here, you leave your cognizant bench and go forth proclaiming. Now, proclaiming after you leave your cognizant bench. If you have not built any character, how can you leave your cognizant bench? You can't even recognize truth. Everybody talking about truth. But how many people have worked on their character or built their character so they can recognize the truth in themselves? Then you can leave your cognizant bench and go forth proclaiming the truth that is revealed to you. See, everything we're talking about will be revealed as you unfold. So there's still wisdom yet to be learned. There are answers lying dormant in each and every one of us, but sometimes we panic because we are afraid. We see the things outside of ourselves appearing to be greater than what's going on inside of us. And then there are ones who see that, and that's called mind control. So I'm gonna keep on teaching the knowledge of self, and I'm gonna keep on talking about addressing your own psyche and leave everybody else to talk about everything else. Because the greatest knowledge is the knowledge of self. What else do man need to know? And this ain't spooky. Everything start with you and end with you. Islam, gratitude.
Gratitude, General. Gratitude for a grand class. After I read this, Anwar, you got the warning. Islam. Moorish leaders' historical message to America. In conclusion, I urge you to remember there is work enough for all to do in helping to build a better world. The problems of life are largely social and economic. In a profound sense, they are moral and spiritual. Have lofty conceptions of your duties to your country and fellow man in general, and especially those with whom you deal. This includes such honesty and righteousness as will cause you to put yourself in the other fellow's place. Look for the best that is in you. Have a deeper appreciation for womanhood. Brighten the hopes of our youth in order that their courage be increased to dare and do wondrous things. Adhere at all times to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I am your affectionate leader. I shall continue to labor day and night, both in public and private, for your good, thereby contributing to the welfare of our country and its people as a whole. Prophet Noble Drew Ali. You got to unmute your mic, Anwar.
I was on a roll, wasn't I? January 15th, 1929, a warning from the prophet to be read at every meeting. I hereby inform all citizens that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the street. We are for peace and not destruction. By flashing your card at Europeans, it causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequences. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any citizen or group of citizens who hold malicious feelings towards the government or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the laws as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the government is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the government. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways by order of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Islam.
Islam, Minister Shankar Bey, already risen, a holy covenant of the Asiatic nations. You are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother has given you suck. That the bonds of affection therefore unite you with their brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in their father's house. And when you separate in the world, remember the relations that bind you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before their own blood. If thy brother's in adversity, assist him. If thy sister's in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortune of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all, and your love to each other. Islam Moors.
Islam Moors, grand class.
Islam, grand
class.
Grand class.
Long live Moorish America.
Long living.
Islam.
Grand class, gratitude.
Gratitude. Gratitude.
Islam, Muslims, let's go.
Islam.
Gratitude with the right attitude.
Talk that talk.
Let's go.
Islam Moors.
Attitude is everything.
My attitude for all of the sincerity, because it takes a lot of courage to be about that truth. Not just to bring it, but to be about it. I give gratitude to all of you for being a part of that.
If you're in earshot, I love you.
Islam. Love you too, Mo. Peace and love, Mo.
Islam, gratitude.
Love.